Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer 3 video. Today we'll be talking about the possible inclusion of proper ship-based naval battles in Total War Warhammer 3. So without further ado, let's begin. Total War Warhammer has had a very weird relationship when it comes to naval battles. Its first form of naval battles was just auto-resolving, which, was not great. Seeing as you couldn't fight the battles yourself and relied on auto-resolve, sometimes your very killy doom stacks would just end up being destroyed. Even when your opponent had a far weaker army, but unfortunately this is how auto-resolve has worked for this series. This issue was originally fixed by a mod which introduced island battles, and while it was still not naval combat, it was still better than losing your army to auto-resolve. Coincidentally, Creative Assembly were also working on an island battle fix which was released not long after. Now, both the mod and the official update worked very well, but there are many, such as myself, who still want proper naval combat. I am more than aware that naval combat was never the Total War team's greatest achievement, and yeah, in some of the games it does lack quite heavily. But a lot of time has passed since then, and we've seen the Total War team work on bigger and bigger projects. It's safe to assume that they've also started looking towards naval combat, not for just Warhammer, but many other projects too. I mean, I would be disappointed myself if we didn't get at least some form of naval combat in Total War Troy. And in all honesty, I'm also expecting it in Total War Three Kingdoms eventually. But why are we talking about naval combat when we already have some sort of alternative for it? Well, in all honesty, I find it rather silly that you'd have two armies traveling the seas, they'd meet each other in combat, and then both of them would decide together, yeah, let's go to that island over there and fight over there, because the ocean is just a bit inconvenient for me. Jokes aside, I am at least very appreciative that we don't have to do auto-resolve anymore. Now, as of yet, we've still yet to receive any word if we're going to get naval battles or not in the future, but there has been some sort of hint. During this month's Ask Me Anything for the Total War Warhammer team on Reddit, a question was asked in reference to this which goes as follows. How much background stuff was done on the naval front? I know it was considered to be resource intensive to bring in naval combat, because of Warhammer's variety, it'd essentially be an entire second army for every faction. But was ship-related concept art done for assets that never made it, or discussion with GW about navies for factions that premiered after Man o' War? An interesting question, to be honest. It's just really asking if the idea was ever floated about. And a member of Total War did indeed respond, which goes as follows. To be honest, we really just wanted to focus on the core of Warhammer, which is battles on land, when we first started the trilogy. Sure, things have changed and expanded since, hence the island battles and unique ships we added for the Vampire Coast. Who knows where we'll end up in the future, but we are aware that a lot of people would like to see some epic sea battles in the series. So we're aware that Creative Assembly have been listening to the fans. This has been obvious for other things such as the Dwarf Forge update and so on. But what I'm taking from this is that there's no flat out no here. Which does indeed mean that this is open to the possibility. Now it could be said that they could just be wanting not to confirm nor deny just in case, but in that same Ask Me Anything, the question was asked about more race packs for Total War Warhammer 2, and that was denied by Grace. Another thing that we can look into is that he stated that when they first started the series, they just wanted to focus on land battles. We're quite far into the series now, and to be honest, the idea could be floating around their studio every now and again. Now, what is the appeal of naval combat in Warhammer Fantasy? As each race is so different in terms of architecture, culture, and so on, so too with their ships. The Bretonnians would have large, impressive galleons, the dwarves themselves would have steam-powered engines, the orcs would basically be putting stuff together with duct tape because orcs. With each race being as very visually distinct from one another as they would be on the normal battlefield on land. But it's not just ships that would feature in these armies. In the armies of Chaos we end up seeing flying fortresses, many of the races of the Warhammer world make use of their flying units too, dragons, griffins and the like, and there are many established great beasts such as the merworm that live within the oceans of the Warhammer world. Now, we're not going to go over all the possible units, monsters and so on that could feature in naval combat in this video, considering the fact that there is actually so much established in the lore that it's deserving of its own series. We'll actually have a series based on naval combat very similar to our faction focus videos in the coming days, I imagine. However, there is something that we do need to talk about in this video, and I can imagine some people getting upset. If naval combat does get featured in Total War Warhammer 3, it's very likely that it'll not be available from the start. Which means that obviously this would be DLC. And I know there's going to be a few people in the comment section saying that this should be free downloadable content, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Total War Warhammer is not like the other Total War games, where many of the character models, skeletons, assets and so on can all be reskinned, as it's all based on humans. Whereas in regards to Warhammer itself, which we've already established, each race is very different to one another, and we've already got a bunch of source material to look through. There were 2 naval-based games in the Warhammer Fantasy series, one known as Man o' War, and the next one known as Dreadfleet. These games established lore, concept art, and models that we would probably see in Total War Warhammer should naval combat make it into the game. We need to look at it this way. If naval combat gets added into Total War Warhammer, every race would have access to a completely different and unique second army. New assets, new models, new dialogue, new everything. So I see naval combat and armies being implemented in one of 2 possible ways. The first would be a full and complete expansion pack near the end of the Total War Warhammer series' lifespan, where every race and faction would actually be featured in this DLC pack, and no other content would come out for naval combat. This would be a rather expensive DLC pack, probably the most expensive one that would ever come out, considering the fact that it would be a full and complete expansion. And the second option would be a series of DLC packs. So how this would work would be rather simple. We'd get an update with some ships for every faction, basic transports and a basic frigate for everyone. And as time progressed, we'd probably start getting DLC packs giving maybe 2 or 4 races, more realistically 4 considering that it's not really that many different things, different ships to bolster up their navies. The main problem I have with this though is, well, if you start getting some races getting ships before others, they would basically dominate the oceans until the other factions ended up getting their ships too. Obviously none of this has been confirmed, it's all speculation at the moment, but I believe that naval combat would be a rather interesting addition to Total War Warhammer, and it might make the game even more fun than it already is. It's very possible that Richard's comments were a hint, but we'll never know until we actually hear something. But what do you guys think? Do you think that we'll eventually see naval warfare in Total War Warhammer? Or do you think that it's just a pipe dream? If you think it's going to be added into the game, let me know how you think this would be implemented into the series, or just let me know your comments in general and let's start a bit of a discussion, shall we? But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below, we have various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team. Also in the description section below is an affiliate link with Element Games, where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Purchasing using that link supports the channel at no extra cost to you. A big thank you to our patrons, your support means the world to us. Honestly, it's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to our patron Gibraltar LUSC for subscribing to us at our Fane level. Honestly mate, you're super cool. And a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, the channel's on a really big high lately and it's all thanks to you. Without you guys, the Great Book of Grudges would be nothing, and honestly, I can't thank you guys enough. It's amazing to be able to talk to so many Warhammer fans across the globe. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and I shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.